Hey everybody, I'm Joel Greene and welcome to Curiosity Quest Goes Green, the show that explores what you, the viewer, are curious about. Now today, our quest letter came to us from Los Angeles, California. Angela wrote, "Dear Joel, I'm curious. Can you go to a water treatment facility and show us what happens to all of the water that goes down our bathtub drain?" Well, Angela, because of you, we're out here in Chino, California, home of Inland Empire Utilities Agency, where we're gonna go through a water treatment plant. So let's begin today's Curiosity Quest Goes Green. I'm here with Chandler. Now, Chandler, first of all, tell us what is your role, your job, your position out here?
My job is to make sure this plant works. So we're here at Inland Empire Utility Agency, which is a water reclamation plant. And today we're going to see preliminary treatment. We're going to see primary treatment. We're going to see secondary treatment, tertiary treatment, disinfection, and before we wrap it all up, we're going to distribute that water back out to our customers.
What, Chandler, I'm already exhausted. I mean, that was like what, 5 seconds long?
That's right. There's a lot of steps involved in treating wastewater so that we can use that wastewater again as recycled water. It's a renewable source of water for our future.
How long is it going to take us to go through this process here today?
The water goes through a process over a 24-hour period.
Okay.
Now, the first drop of water, as it comes into the treatment plant, it goes through, and by the time it gets to the other end, depending on the time of day, 6 to 8 hours from start to finish.
I only have about 6 hours, so can we speed it up instead of 24? Okay,
yeah.
That's good. How big is this facility that we're at? Because it looks huge.
This is a 15 million gallon a day treatment plant. On average, we treat about 10 million gallons per day.
So we're standing right now in Chino. How far out will the households reach that you're servicing?
So this facility treats wastewater for Chino Hills, and parts of Ontario.
Okay, and so basically the houses that are using these are going to be from Chino Hills, and parts of Ontario.
Correct. We also treat a small amount of commercial wastewater as well as a little bit of industrial.
So I hear this word used all the time, water reclamation. Chandler, well, actually before you answer, let's hear from you. What is water reclamation?
Something that reclaims water. The reuse of water. Purple water? I think like recycling, kind of like water to use again.
A type of water? When water gets stuck through pipes?
I think it's like reusable water that they recycle for plants and stuff.
What is water reclamation?
Water reclamation is when we take wastewater and we reclaim it. We're going to treat that water to the level that the state of California requires so that we can then use that water for irrigation, we can use it for farming, we can use it on golf courses, and we're essentially reclaiming that water so that we can use it again.
Now, when you say wastewater, just make sure that I have a clear picture here, that you're talking about what, toilet water?
That's what we're talking about.
Bathtub water?
That's what we're talking about.
Ew.
Yep, and the stuff from the sinks, the showers, the toilets, all of that comes to this treatment plant.
Now, and you're basically cleaning it up.
We're cleaning it up through a 7-stage process, and at the end of that process, that water meets California Title 22 standards so it can be reused.
Can we drink it?
Not directly. So we cannot drink it directly, but we do use it to recharge groundwater. So we put it in a spreading basin, it percolates into the ground, and then mingles with the water that we drink.
Okay, now is it clean at that point?
Oh, it's clean.
Oh, it's clean, huh?
It's clean.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so what are we standing in front of right here?
Well, this is one of our 12 million gallon per day submersible pumps. So all the water comes in from the collection system, which is a series of pipes, and it comes into a 22-foot deep well right behind me. Now at the bottom of that well are 3 of these pumps so that we can lift the water down from 22 feet into our preliminary treatment process.
So this is lifting all that water?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. How far down does this pump go again?
22 feet.
So about 2 stories down below the
right.
surface.
You got it.
Okay, so when it lifts it, where is it all going?
It's going to preliminary treatment. And that's our next stop.
This is where it's being lifted out of the ground, huh?
Correct. There's 2 wet wells here, and between the 2 of them, there are 3 pumps. Each of those pumps can pump 12 million gallons per day. So there's a 22-foot deep wet well, and this is lifting the water so that we can bring it in through the preliminary process.
Wow, I'm getting that smell you get when you're out at a plant like this. That what in the world am I doing here smell.
That's right. Now, one of the things that we do to help with that is we actually scrub the odors that come out of all of our treatment processes. So we have a biofilter, so we're gonna pull the odors off of this wet well, and we send them into a biological treatment filter to scrub the odors so that we're friendly to our neighbors.
But when I was over there, I mean, less than what, 50 feet away?
Right.
I didn't smell a thing.
Exactly.
When I came halfway over here, I didn't smell a thing. It wasn't until I was directly over this spot right here that I actually, and it's, like, I don't smell it right now.
Exactly.
Give me a moment. I'm sure it'll come back.
It'll come back around.
But that's pretty cool. You're talking about being nice to your neighbors.
Absolutely. It's an
there it
important
is.
part. It's an important part of what we do for the community.
What is all this behind us then?
So this is the pipe system that is connected to those submersible pumps. So as the submersible pumps lift that water, they convey it through these pipes, through a flow meter, and into the preliminary treatment process.
You've said that a couple times. When you say preliminary treatment process, what are we talking about?
We're talking about bar rakes, which is going to take away all of the plastics, the trash, the rags, the material that shouldn't be in the wastewater, but unfortunately it is.
And we actually see that in there?
We will. We'll see it.
Yippee.
Fun fact, fun fact, fun fact. Here's your fun fact.
Did you know that pure water has no taste or smell?
These are the moments on Curiosity Quest Goes Green that I live for. I'm not kidding. Wait a moment, you'll see what I'm talking about. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, well, me first, huh?
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
So this is the beginning.
Oh my goodness.
So what we're doing, this is preliminary treatment.
Uh-huh.
And as the flow comes in, we need to remove all that material that shouldn't be in the wastewater. So we're talking about plastics and rags and debris. And as the water comes through our treatment process, those materials can cause harm, clogging, and different problems with our pumps and the rest of our treatment process. So we get them out as early as possible.
Where's the water starting at?
The water is actually right behind us, and it's flowing in right underneath our feet.
Okay, so right through here,
This is where the water's flowing, right through here. This is an automatic bar screen, and so as the material collects on the bars, this rake will grab that material and bring it up, and then we compact it and then haul it to landfill.
Okay, so whatever's coming out of here is going to end up going to a landfill?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking at the screen. Even though I don't want to, I'm looking at the bars you
Yes,
said.
those are the bars.
It looks pretty clean right now.
Correct, and that's how they stay, because we want to remove the material very actively. So as we remove that material, we keep it from the flow from building up, and that way the flow doesn't force the material through the bars.
Oh, okay, and as soon as I say that, I can see when it's pulling up.
Correct.
There's actually,
A little bit of material.
I see we have, what, 3 of them in here? What does this one do right
So
behind
this is
me?
a bypass. So we predominantly use these 2. Each of these has a capacity of 30 million gallons per day. So really we just need one of them. But we have the second one as redundancy, and then as a backup to that, we actually have a manual bar screen. So in the event of a power failure, or in the event that these mechanically failed, we could actually go over here and do this by hand.
Let's just let that sink into you guys at home for a moment. So you're saying that this is all done automatically as we're
Correct.
witnessing behind us, but if something happens, somebody has to come in here by hand and scrape this?
That's correct, because the water has to keep flowing.
Okay, so this is step 1.
Step 1.
All right, what's step 2?
Well, this is part of step 1.
Oh.
The other part of step 1 is removing grit, eggshells, and cinders. So coffee grinds, all this kind of inorganic material that's rough.
Okay.
Okay, because we got to remove that, because if we don't, it'll actually cause damage to our pumps.
Okay.
It's abrasive.
Okay, and where does that take place?
Right out the door.
Right out, let's get out the door, let's go.
Fun fact, fun fact, fun fact. Here's your fun fact.
The highest flow day for the wastewater treatment plant is on the biggest football game of the year.
What are we standing on top of right now?
So this is our vortex grit separator.
Vortex grip?
Vortex grit separator.
Wow, so is it like the
That's what it's doing. So it's actually creating a flow opposite of the flow path. So we're creating some resistance, so we slow the flow down, and we actually are gonna drop grit, eggshells, cinders, inorganic, coarse material. We're gonna drop it out of the wastewater at this point.
So right underneath us right now, is that why it's in a circle?
That's why it's in a circle, and that's this drive unit right here. So there's a big paddle and it's turning, and as it turns, all that heavy inorganic material drops to the bottom of the tank, and then we pull it out and we landfill it.
I see a lot of these over here. What are these things?
These are our gates. So if I need to do maintenance or I need to get down in here and do an assessment on the condition of this tank, I can actually isolate this whole side and run through this pipe that's behind me.
It's crazy because we've already gone through a ton of things already, and that was only step one.
Correct.
And the other thing is crazy is this whole time, I have not visually seen, we probably have seen it on camera and on television, but I've not seen any of the water.
Yes, all of it's covered. You know, it's covered for odor control, it's covered for access, and a lot of the pipes that we have, they all go underground, transmitting the flow from one treatment unit to the next treatment unit.
So let's go to step two.
Let's go to step two.
All right. I feel like we're on top of the world up here.
This is one of our primary clarifiers. So after preliminary treatment, all the flow comes to primary treatment. The purpose of primary treatment is to slow the flow down, and we want to use gravity. Okay, it's our least expensive form of treatment. So we're going to allow gravity to take the solids, the heavy solids, and settle them out to the bottom of the tank, and then we can remove them to go on to the next treatment process.
Now, when you say gravity, I mean, what are you referring to? So those pumps pulled it up out of the ground, and is it just on an angle coming over here, or?
So we've got a large diameter pipe that brings the water to the center of this clarifier. Once it comes up from the center, then it gradually just slowly spreads out toward the edges. And as it's doing that, any solids, any settable solids that are in the water, they'll settle to the bottom of this tank.
Now, again, we can't see this happening. What's up with that?
Well, yes, once again, we can't see what's going on underneath this, the cover for this primary clarifier, because once again, we're trying to capture the odors, we want to capture them, we want to scrub them, and we want to treat them. So that process is just a settling of the solids, then we remove those solids and bring them on to solids handling. Then the water, when it leaves here, it goes on to secondary treatment.
All right, so let's go check out the
secondary treatment process.
Secondary, that's primary, let's go to secondary. What is the aerobic zone?
I know they have aerobic water sports.
Place where people work out.
It's where you get the water from?
Aerobic zone is kind of like a swimming type zone.
A place where they hold water.
Where you exercise. Robe zone.
like bathrobe zone? So correct me if I'm wrong, this is the part of the tour when the kids come around here and say, oh, it looks like
chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk.
That's right.
It does.
It does.
It really does.
And this is actually a biological process. And what I mean by that is we're actually using microorganisms to treat the wastewater. So we've taken the water from the primary clarifiers, and that water's come over here, and now we've mingled that water with the microorganisms that we've cultivated, and we make what's called mixed liquor suspended solids. And that's what you see.
Mixed liquor suspended solids.
That's
correct. Do you have an acronym for that?
MLSS.
You do? Oh,
that's
my
right.
goodness.
So MLSS is what we're looking at right here.
MLSS.
That's correct. And now the microorganisms are actually the workers. So our job is to provide them with the right conditions. So we're going to provide them with food, which is the wastewater. We're going to provide them with air, which is what all the bubbles are, okay? And we're going to provide them with nutrients and the suspended environment that they live in.
When you say suspended environment, what do you refer to?
It's just the water.
So I'm sure you probably get asked this by tours. Why does the water look like chocolate milk?
Well, this is the solids. So what we're doing is in primary treatment, we removed all of the settable solids, the heavy solids.
Okay, like the stuff that goes down a toilet?
The stuff that goes down the toilet.
Okay.
But some of that still remains in the wastewater, okay? And those solids are finer, and they're more difficult to settle. So we use a biological process to take those fine solids and cause them to come together so that they can settle.
So is it brown because of that mixture?
It's just because of the solids.
The solids are making it brown, okay.
Yep.
And now this side is really bubbly, and this side is not so bubbly. Is there a reason for that?
There is. We have two different types of organisms that we're trying to cultivate. One of them thrives in an aerobic environment, and one of them thrives in an anoxic environment.
Okay, so define what is aerobic?
So aerobic is the environment that you see before you where we're adding oxygen into the mixed liquor suspended solids.
Which is why we have all the bubbles.
That's why all the bubbles.
Ah, okay.
Then we take the oxygen away, and this is the anoxic, so without oxygen.
And if you look at it, it looks like foam. Are you doing different steps as we go along?
There's different steps. So this process actually begins behind us and is flowing toward us, makes a right-hand turn, and then goes all the way back down to the other end.
So should we head on down there?
Let's head down there.
All right.
Fun fact, fun fact, fun fact. Here's your fun fact.
Millions of microorganisms help eat out the solids in the wastewater treatment process.
Well, this is the next part of secondary treatment. So the first part of secondary treatment was the activated sludge aeration basins, where all the chocolate milk was. So at the end of the activated sludge process, the microorganisms, they've been working, they've been doing their job of treating the wastewater. So at the end of that process, we send them over to the secondary clarifiers, where essentially they get to have a little break. So we bring all those microorganisms right up underneath our feet to the center of this clarifier.
Yeah.
And then gradually they spread out toward the edges of the clarifier. Now as they're doing that, they're actually settling to the bottom where they can be collected and put back to work.
It's just so funny the way you guys talk about, you know, the microorganisms. These guys, we give them air, we give them food.
That's right.
We let them rest.
The harder they work, the less we have to work.
Gotcha. There is a distinctive difference between how the water looks directly below us versus how it looks outside of this round circular thing.
Correct. So what we're doing is we're slowing the water down. We're slowing the velocity down, the speed of the water, so that as we slow it down, the solids that are in the water from the activated sludge, all those microorganisms, can settle to the bottom of the tank and we can take them out. That way we can have a nice, clear effluent, free of solids and with low turbidity. Turbidity just means the clarity of the water. So we want the water as clear as possible before it goes on to the next process.
As you're talking, I was watching this thing over to the right. It's actually moving. This is what you were talking about earlier.
Correct. So essentially what you're seeing here is the same thing that's going on in the primary clarifier where we couldn't see below the blue tarp. So right here we have an arm. This arm is doing two purposes. The first is it's collecting the solids off the bottom of the tank and pushing them toward a hopper so that they can be pumped out. The other thing it's doing is any kind of floating material, grease and oil, any type of light debris that would float on the surface, it's going to collect it and drop it into the scum skimmer and then take it away for solids processing.
Scum skimmer. This makes me laugh. So this is the last part of the secondary.
Last part of secondary treatment. From here, we move on to tertiary treatment.
Tertiary treatment. Try to say that. Tertiary treatment. 3 times in a row. Tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment.
I'm not even going to try.
Let's go tertiary treatment. Can you say tertiary treatment 3 times in a row? Ready, go.
Tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment.
Tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment, and tertiary treatment.
Tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment.
Tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment.
Tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment. Tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment, tertiary treatment.
Tertiary what? Tertiary treatment? Tertiary treatment, tertiary. I can't.
What is tertiary treatment?
So tertiary treatment is one of the requirements to meet Title 22 recycled water standards, which is what the state of California requires for us to reuse this wastewater as recycled water. And what we're standing on right now is our filter bank. So but when the water comes from the secondary clarifiers, we add polymer and alum, we coagulate, flocculate, and then so we're mixing all that together and we're trying to get the fine particles to stick together. Because when those fine particles stick together, then we can remove them in the filters.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, just make sure I understand this. Tertiary treatment is you're adding chemicals and basically mixing them up as you add them so they can stick together.
Correct, so that the fine particles that are in the water can come together.
And those fine particles in the water are in the water for the purpose of?
Well, they started out in the water as wastewater. So those are still remnants of the solids from the very beginning of the process. So
Okay.
all this process is for the sole purpose of taking the solids out.
I think back to the original step where we're actually, just pulling out the big solids.
Correct.
And then, of course, the primary, we're trying to get out smaller solids.
Correct.
And then secondary, we're getting out the microbes and working on getting out more of the solids.
Correct.
Just
And
another
then-
step.
Exactly. This is just another step in the process to get the solids out of the wastewater.
So after this step, we're moving on to now what? Step 5?
Step 5, disinfection.
Disinfection. All right, let's go.
All right, let's go.
So this is step 5.
This is disinfection. So after tertiary treatment, all of the water that comes from that process, we bring it over here and we add sodium hypochlorite. Now, sodium hypochlorite at 12.5% concentration is basically household bleach, but just supercharged.
Wow.
So we add that into the tertiary filtered water, and then we have it go through a serpentine process. So it actually just goes down and is making contact with the water, the chlorine in the water, so that it has time to inactivate the pathogens.
Now, are these other small solids, really, really small solids that we're trying to get out of the water? Or?
Not so much solids. The majority of the solids have been taken out all through the previous processes. At this point, what we're trying to do is we're trying to work on fecal coliform, total coliform, things that may cause disease.
You said that it's going through a serpentine, so I'm seeing it basically just going around these.
Round and round.
Round and round. I see the water. It looks like the water's moving.
The water is. The water's moving through this process, and then whenever it gets to the end, then we have two options. We either send it on to recycle water, or we dechlorinate it, which means take the chlorine out, and then we send it over to the creek.
You would actually take the chlorine out, and this water is good enough to go down a creek?
Absolutely.
Now, the Chino Creek goes down into the Chino Basin, right?
Correct, which connects to the Santa Ana River, which then goes down to Orange County.
And recharges down there and up here.
Correct.
And, wow, okay. So this is step 5.
This is step 5.
And there's 2 more steps. I feel like we're done at this point.
We're almost there. Now we need to distribute the water, and then we'll talk about solids at the end.
All right, let's do it. What is in the purple pipes?
Water, recycled water. That means that it's dirty and it's been used for different uses. Water that goes to our sinks and our tap.
Water,
What kind of water?
liquid water,
Water.
What kind of water?
Purified water.
Step 6 is
Distribution. So after we disinfect the wastewater, and now we've got it all the way through the treatment process, now we need to distribute it as recycled water. So that's what the pumps and the pipes are, the purple pipes behind me. So we're actually taking that disinfected water, we're bringing it into a wet well, and we're pumping it, pressurizing it into the distribution system for customers.
how far out would this distribution center go for purple pipes starting from here?
Well, being that this is almost at the bottom of our service area encompasses 240 square miles. So we actually have service all the way up to Rancho Cucamonga, Fontana, Upland, so all the way to the northern part of the Chino Basin.
Wow, and so there are some purple pipes that go that far?
Go all the way up there to the foothills.
Now, we keep talking purple pipes, and I'm sure a lot of people at home probably are like, purple pipe, real purple pipes.
They are. Purple is the color that's been designated for recycled water. So if you see purple pipes, you know it's recycled water and it's not meant to be drank.
Will these purple pipes be visible, if I'm walking around at a park?
Some of them you will. Some of the purple irrigation you'll actually see on the sprinkler heads, the top of it is purple, so that you have a knowledge that, hey, this is recycled water. There's also usually purple signs that'll say, recycled water, do not drink. Where the pipe rises and meets a manifold, you'll see it be painted purple.
Do all parks, want to have these purple pipes, or should have these purple pipes, or?
Well, not in every case. In every case, it's not feasible to distribute the purple pipes all the way to certain locations. But when it is, it's very useful because every drop of recycled water that we use, we're saving a drop of potable water for drinking.
And how many millions of gallons are you pumping out?
Well, just from this treatment plant alone, we have 10 million gallons per day that is distributed out into the recycled water system.
We're done, right?
We're almost done.
Wait, no, we're done.
We're done with the water.
Okay.
We still have to talk about solids.
Is that step 7?
That's step 7.
The final step.
The final step, solids handling. The main purpose of this whole treatment process is to remove the solids. So we're going to take those solids out of all the different treatment processes, and we have to do something with them.
Okay.
So in this stage, what we're doing is we're actually using the pumps right behind us to pump the solids over to another treatment plant. So at Regional Plant 2, so we settle, we thicken, we digest, and then we press. So it's a whole nother process for just handling the solids so that we can process them, make beneficial use of the digester gas, and then we actually convert the biosolids into compost.
And can we see these solids?
No, they're all in the pipes and in the pumps. There's nothing to see.
Okay, so we're just standing in front of the pumps that are moving it around,
Correct.
basically.
These are the pumps that transfer the solids from this plant to the next plant.
So at this point, we've cleaned up the water.
Correct.
And we've distributed the water.
Correct.
Got rid of all the solids.
That's right.
So our work here's done.
It's all done.
That's what I'm talking about right there, man. Ugh. Out of here.
Fun fact, fun fact, fun fact. Here's your fun fact.
The existence of water is essential for all life on Earth.
I want to thank Chander and everyone out here at Inland Empire Utilities Agency for teaching us how they reclaim water. And I especially want to thank you, Angela, for sending us on today's Curiosity Quest Goes Green. Now, if there's something you want to know more about, let me hear from you. Go to curiosityquest.org, click on the Send Us on a Quest link, and simply tell me what you're curious about. And who knows, it could be you that sends us on our next green adventure. Now remember, this is our planet. It's our responsibility to take care of it. So I wonder, have you gone green? I'm Joel Greene, and I'll see you next time. You know, the smell's kind of going away at this point.
Yeah. This is the more earth tone. We call it kind of like an earthy, you know.
I love that. People try to say earthy for bad smell. I like it.
Yeah, but it does. It has more like a little organic kind of
earthy smell to it.
Yeah.
If you'd like to order a copy of this episode or a previous episode, visit us at www.curiosityqueststore.com. The cost is $24.95.